noticed as we came here, we're going through the village. It was very luscious with many mango, bamboo, jackfruit, lychee nut, bokul, neem, arjun, and other sacred trees, including coconut, date palm, and others. These are tall trees, the Talabon and Vrindavan, like that. So, in the Navadip Mahatmya, it glorifies this island as Madodrum. Druma means a place of forest, but this also is a sacred place where there is a very thick forest. And here, it stated that Lord Ramachandra, when he was cast into 14 years of forest exile, then before going to Dandakaranya, he came to Navadip Dham, to this place. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was going on his Navadip parikrama one time, alone, suddenly he came into this part of the Dham, and there he saw Lord Ramachandra and Sita, Lakshman. He became overwhelmed in ecstasy and he paid his obeisances. And there Ramchandra was with his bow in the forest, in his forest attire. And there was some kind of fruit on the ground, and Ramchandra kicked it over to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then he disappeared. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur then accepted that prasadam and was in complete ecstasy. So those who are very fortunate, they can still see the pastimes going on here in Navadip Dham. Atyapiha lila kore gora rai kono kono bhagyavan deke bare pai. So in this sacred island of Navadip Dham, Vrindavan Das Thakur appeared. This is his birthplace. And here, His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote the Chaitanya Bhagavat purports, which are extensive purports, which someday in the future hopefully will be available in Western languages. So this is a very sacred place of Navadip Dham, where Bhagavatam for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu purports are written, and where its writer was not different from Lord Vyasadeva has also appeared. Our Krishna conscious movement is based upon spreading the Bhagavad philosophy of complete God consciousness, personality of Godhead consciousness. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj mentions that what Vyasadeva was for Krishna Leela, Vrindavan Das Thakur was for Chaitanya Leela. The whole early life, middle life, up to Lord Chaitanya's sannyas was extensively written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And those areas which were not dealt with, and some of the philosophical overview, were presented by Krishnadas Kaviraj in Chaitanya Charitamrita. His Holiness Sahotra Maharaj? In which language? In German language, the entire Bhagavatam is available. You can give us some nectar in this holy place.
Hare Krishna. So like Srila Jayapataka Maharaj was alluding to when he mentioned that Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his touring of this holy Dham, he had the darshan of Lord Ramchandra. So, how is that possible? Because the Dham is Chintamani Dham. It is actually, the real form is actually pure consciousness, pure Krishna consciousness, the place of where the Lord appears with his devotees and where they partake in ecstatic pastimes, Chaitanya Rasa, exchanging pastimes of love which are totally non-material. So we are coming to this place, unfortunately, speaking for myself, bringing my material senses, my material consciousness, and I have a very superficial understanding of the Holy Dham. I don't even understand that there are bale trees and whatever other trees Maharaj mentioned. I just see some trees, I don't even know their names. What to speak their spiritual significance. These things are hidden from my eyes. But we have to understand, or try to understand, try to appreciate that behind whatever information our gross material senses are permitting us to perceive, there is actually the unlimited spiritual world right here, right now. And if we can somehow penetrate beyond this gross material covering of our mundane senses, we may, if we're very fortunate, have some deeper appreciation of that fact. So that's why we've come all this way, and that's why we make this effort to go on parikrama. It is uncomfortable and exhausting, but nonetheless, it is very, very purifying. So we should all try to take full advantage. We have this great opportunity, such a golden opportunity. Okay. Such a golden opportunity. First of all, that we took this human birth in the first place at this time, so that Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's representatives could gather us all together so that we could even have the chance to come to this holy place. And now we are here. So we should take full advantage of the opportunity by Krishna's grace, Lord Chaitanya's grace that is here, especially at this time, his 500th appearance. And by traversing this holy Dham together, hearing about the Lord's pastimes, chanting his holy name together. It is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the root of bhakti, Krishna bhakti janma mul, hoy sadhu sangha, it is in the association of devotees. The actual root of all devotional service is in there, and that same root, it matures into Krishna prema. But the root is always the association, sadhu sangha, association of devotees. It's not that the root becomes transferred somewhere else in the future after we become Mahabhagavatas, and then we are suddenly independent, standing on our own as deities to be worshipped by the three worlds. No, the root of bhakti, simple sadhan bhakti, and even prema bhakti is in the sadhu sangha. So we have this very wonderful opportunity of sadhu sangha in this holy dham. We should take full advantage of it. And then appreciation of the holy dham will gradually deepen and deepen, and perhaps we shall also become so fortunate as to see it in its full glory. Hare Krishna.
Just as there are offenses to avoid in chanting the holy name, there are also offenses to avoid in worshipping the holy dham. If you think that the holy dham is equal to any other material place or even any other pious place, it's not a Vishnu Tirtha, and that's an offense. If you consider that doing some spiritual activity in the holy dham is equal to any pious activity, that's an offense. If you sin on the strength of being in the holy dham, that's an offense. Just like that, like 10 offenses to the holy name. To disobey the order of the spiritual master has manifested the glories of the holy dham, or the Vaishnavas who glorify and serve the holy dham, and so on. So, when we are in the holy dham, because this is actually not different from Krishna's spiritual kingdom, it's like one part of this island of Navadvip is considered to be not different from Vaikuntha. And there Narayana and all his associates are manifest in all their majesty. And there the Lord is served in dasya, rasa, or the mood of servitude. So simply by walking, by every walk, every step we take, that is worth more than millions of Asamade Yagyas. Simply by every breath we take, just of the air in Navadvip Mayapur Dham, that purifies our existence and brings us closer to pure Krishna Prema. That is worth more than unlimited different kinds of material, or rather pious activity. And it said that by doing even a little bit of spiritual activity in Mayapur Navadvip Dham, that is worth more than doing the same activity in other holy dhams, even for months and months and years on end, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy. The one time the devotees were asking Srila Prabhupada, why should we're spending so money to come to Mayapur, which we could use for other purposes. The Prabhupada replied, why do you spend so much money on eating? Then the conversation ended there. That Prabhupada considered this very important for our spiritual purification, to be able to visit on some occasion during our devotional career, and especially for the preachers on a regular basis. He mentioned how when we preach to the materialists, we take on subtle contamination of their mentality, their enjoying mood. But by coming to the holy dham, that actually purifies us from that subtle contamination in a very sublime way, and establishes us firmly in a devotional service attitude, which gives us a deep taste. And as Suhotra Maharaj has explained, this is especially relishable in the association of devotees, and this actually, it comes in the association of devotees. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to preach so vivid, so violently, or so vividly against so-called devotees separating from the society of an association of devotees to apparently do some kind of solitary bhajan or nirjana bhajan. That's why he wrote that poem that Dushtamon to Mikishir Vaishnav. My materialistic mind, what kind of devotee are you? You're simply wanting to, out of pretentiousness and false ego, do some solitary worship simply to get cheap adoration and fame. But the real austerity is to, and the real nectar at the same time, is to engage in Krishna's service along with the other devotees of a like mentality. To serve in this way Guru and Gauranga. So there are many places here there's a few places that we're going to see. So before we leave, we'd just like to hear a little nectar from Tatpur Maharaj, who's come out today with us, leading the kirtan.
Om Agganatimirandhamsa Jananjana Salakaya Chakkurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So Prabhupada is very pleased if someone come in Mayapur. It is stated as Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that they will become one the Bengali devotee and Western devotee together chant Jai Sachinandana and Nitai Gauranga. So this day is coming now. You can see so many Bengali and Western together and chanting the Jai Sachinandana and Nitai Gauranga. So Prabhupada also one time telling that what can be, he satisfy more than other thing. That he's telling that if a Western devotee come in India and serve India, that can be. So if someone can dedicate his life full-time devotee, that is more nicer. But it cannot possible it is. So at least he should come once a year and join this Gaura festival, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's festival, and that we can give more place than any other service. So coming in Dham and taking potency, like charge the battery. So, and rest of year you do Sankirtan and come every year the Dham and get some potency and then preach. And that will be help. And that is the place by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We cannot progress our preaching without blessing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very pleased when we are served little bit in Dham. There is a Bengali one poem. There is a Gaura Amar Jesavasthani Pramada Range Sesavasthanu Heriva Ami Pranai Bhakata Sange. Where there is a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime is going on, and that place we are traveling with association with devotee. That is very nice opportunity that we are gathered. That's the purpose. So I am the first time this place I am coming. This atmosphere, Achijapad is telling very nice. So many pious trees. Where there is a many pious tree, it is considered that many pious people is living. And where there is a tree, no giving fruit or flower, there is all impious people is living. So we can see that this atmosphere is very nice because so many trees have and so much nice fruit tree. Jabadaka Maharaj is giving. This is the first time I am coming here. I do not know so much about this person.
Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. proceed, taking the blessings of Vrindavan Das Thakur, we're going to proceed to another tree which Lord Chaitanya hugged and brought back to life. And there you're going to see some very beautiful deities and hear some more pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and his associates and some more nectar from the preachers here. The deities here are established. This temple is established by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to preserve this holy place. The deities are Nitai Gaur and Radha Krishna. So, the kirtan party will kindly get up first. Don't rush out. We want to go in a formation. Let the kirtan party and this is the Sri Sri Saranga Murari Thakur Shripad, or the sacred ashram of Saranga Thakur and Murari Thakur, who are branches of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental tree. Their deities the Radha Gopinath deity in the temple were personally worshipped by Saranga and Murari Thakur. Saranga Thakur was performing his devotional service here, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered him that he should accept disciple. But he was very reluctant, knowing the dangers in becoming a spiritual master and feeling himself unworthy. But receiving the repeated instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and finally when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heavily impressed him that you have to accept the disciple to carry on the disciplic succession. So then he felt that if he didn't do it, he would be disobeying the order of Lord Chaitanya, and then everything would be ruined. As you know, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave many devotees all over India that order. Amaragya Guru Hao, Taro Idesh, Dari Dako, Tariko, Krishna Pudesh. Just like when he met the Kurma Brahmin, he ordered him, you become a guru for this land. You deliver your people. And Lord Chaitanya in this way gave the devotees that he met in his travels, who he had given the spiritual seed to, the order to become spiritual masters. So similarly, he had given Saranga Thakur that instruction. So Saranga Thakur decided that when I wake up in the morning tomorrow, the first person I see, I'll just initiate him. In this way I'll fulfill Lord Chaitanya's instruction. So, he went to when he got up in the morning, about 3:30 or so in the morning, it's still dark, he went to the Ganges to take a bath. As you noticed, it's not that far to the Ganges. So he'd go every morning to take his bath in the Ganges and come back. Maybe even the Ganges was a little bit this way or that way, river shifts slightly. So then, when he got down to the Ganges and was taking his bath, he saw someone in the water. He said, well, this is the first person I'm seeing, so I have to initiate this person. So he grabbed the person and in his ear, he chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The person jumped up, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. And he said that, you're my spiritual master. I was going to be married, and I went down upstream. I went to the Ganges to take the pre-marriage bath, and I drowned. I was dead, and I already left my body. But when you chanted Hare Krishna in my body's ear, you brought me back to my body and brought me back to life. So now I owe my life to you. Both, of course, we owe our life to the spiritual master anyway, but in this way he owed it both two ways. Actually, Saranga Thakur was such a powerful Vaishnava that there was actually a dead body floating in the Ganges. And it was floating meant that the bodies sink when they first drown, and then after a little while, then they float. That means it was dead for a while. So that floating corpse, the cadaver, floating in the Ganges that bumped into him, and he chanted Hare Krishna in his ear. His chanting was so powerful that it could bring not only the spiritual life, but the material life back into the body. And then he got the name of Murari. So that is Murari Thakur, who was a very dynamic preacher of Krishna consciousness, who expanded Lord Chaitanya's movement significantly. So in this way, we find that even the practically spiritual dead people sometimes could be described as almost living dead, walking dead. Of the Western world, simply by hearing the chanting of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, they became brought into the real living state of Krishna consciousness. And in this way, the disciplic succession goes on, and people are brought from their sleeping condition of spiritual dormancy into their actual state of life, the state of devotional service or eternal life, which is a real symptom of a liberated soul, which means a real living entity. When we're liberated, when we're engaged in devotional service, that is actually our constitutional position. I'd like to request His Divine Grace, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, to wake us up. Hare Krishna.
So we see this wonderful example of the potency of following the orders in the proper disciplic chain. And here this devotee was feeling very unqualified, and at the same time he was very able and willing to accept the instruction, and because he did, he carried it out fully. You see how the potency that comes from following the orders, as ultimately the order is a transmission from the Lord, that Krishna has arranged for everyone to have opportunity to know Him. Sometimes He comes Himself, and sometimes He empowers others. And the same message is there, but it is kept intact. So this devotee is exemplifying the same mood as the gopis, when Narada had asked him to help to relieve Krishna's headache and to give dust from their feet. So they were taking a big risk by giving this foot dust. But at the same time, they were thinking, well, Krishna wants this Krishna needs it, then that is all right. Even though the risk is there, they were able and willing to take that. Narada was completely surprised. They were so eager to give this dust, knowing what the consequences would entail. So, a Vaishnava, he is thinking in that way, that I have some order, I'm unqualified to do that, but at the same time, Krishna is the supreme mystic, he is Yogeshwara. This particular display, the display of one of the Siddhic potencies. There's a particular Siddhic potency that can be had by the pure devotees, and also is the property of some of the devas or demigods, where one can bring back the soul into the physical body and restore life. The devotee is not in a consciousness of trying to make a display of mystic talents or mystic feats. Sometimes people approach our society in this way. They want to know what kind of mystical things can the devotees do. Well, of course, we see the greatest mystical effect, how even at this display that we're seeing these few days, how so many devotees have come from all different parts of the world, although of so many different cultures, different languages, etc., that we are so much homogeneous, and that we are taking shelter of the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So all of these are tremendous mystic feats that are being displayed before us. These kinds of pastimes are particularly interesting as we are visiting all these sacred pilgrimage places, because it's giving us a chance to have a window, take a view, look at the activities of the spiritual realm. Basically, we're studying, meditating on the activities of Nitya Siddhas. There are three ways of attaining perfection. Of course, there's Sadhana Siddha, where one has executed devotional principles steadily, regulatedly, and gets the mercy to be able to come to the pure platform. There is a state of Kripa Siddha, which is one has endeavored very strenuously, and he has remained faithful, even though from time to time there's tremendous difficulties there for him, but he remains faithful to the orders of Krishna and Guru. Such a person also gets a chance to go back to Godhead, because he's said to get the special mercy from Lord Nityananda and the pure Vaishnavas. They have mercy upon such a soul, and that soul gets a chance also to go back to Krishna. And of course, the category we're taking notice of now is the Nitya Siddha category, where there are times when a living entity has never been conditioned, and he comes into this world just for the purpose of helping to set stage or make arrangements for the Lord's pastimes. We see corresponding activities in the pastimes of Krishna with the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, how different personalities are appearing in these leelas, and they're executing a certain kind of role. So here we see, by studying the performance of such great souls, it is to help us to know what is to be done. They don't have to do it, nor does Krishna have to create such situations, because just as in the case of Arjuna was actually a Nitya Siddha, but Krishna allowed him to experience the period of dissonance. Seemingly he was very confused, and Krishna allowed that confusion to exist so that the clarity could be established for every man. So these great souls, we don't say, well, they are pure devotees, and therefore that is out of our realm to appreciate. No. Yes, they are pure devotees, but they're acting in a way to help the conditioned souls. As when we are looking at some of the translations of some of these great songs by the Vaishnava Acharyas, you see how they are speaking in such a mood of feeling very fallen, very low, and they are at the same time giving us tremendous purports about the nectar of devotion. So this is for our help to imbibe this spiritual culture, so that we can realize more and more as we are reading and we go back to our stations, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is not just a literary work that is romantic or allegorical, but these are actually things that have happened by the great personalities associating with the Lord, and that they're calling us to come on and to appreciate and to join in with them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In this temple, there's a large Radha Madana Gopal deity, which were the personal deities of Vasudeva Datta Thakur. Anyone who wants, they have a book in Bengali which gives the history of this temple and the deities. All you have to do is read it in Bengali. So, you know Vasudeva Datta Thakur? He was a famous devotee who pleaded to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take all of the sinful reactions of all of the living entities in the entire universe. He pleaded to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one day that please give me all of the offenses, all of their sinful reactions, and let them all go back to the spiritual world. Somehow by your mercy I've been able to experience love for Krishna. I've been able to experience devotional service, even a drop. But why should they be deprived? It's better to let one just suffer and let all of them go back to the spiritual world. I can just take the suffering on myself. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, he explained, in the history of the world there are very many great religious leaders, some who have suffered extreme, suffered on behalf of their followers and died for their sins and so on, and offered salvation for their followers. But here we find in Vasudeva Datta Thakur such an expansive mood of mercy that he wasn't limiting it even to followers. Far from that, not even to human beings, not even to pious human beings, but all the people, all the jivas in the universe. That includes the demons, the demigods, the humans, the animals, the birds, the ants, the mosquitoes, the scorpions, the amoebas, all of them. Every single living entity. Where in the history of the world have we found such a mood of complete mercy for delivering the fallen souls? That universal vision which encompasses everywhere. It goes beyond ecumenical vision. It is actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing through his pure devotee Vasudeva Datta Thakur the real universal vision to deliver the entire universe. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so moved because Vasudeva Datta Thakur was a very grave, learned Brahmin. He was a very grave devotee. He knew what the significance of this type of offering was. He was very serious that he wanted to take all this sinful reaction. So he embraced Vasudeva Datta Thakur and he told him that, don't you think that Krishna will allow you to suffer alone? Simply by your desire you delivered the entire world. And even if you were to take all the sinful reactions and you deliver one whole universe, and again the universe will fill up. There are so many fallen souls. And Krishna would not allow his devotee to suffer in this way. But by your desire alone, you delivered everyone. They'll all be delivered simply by your desire. I mean, simply by getting the mercy of Vasudeva Datta Thakur, we can achieve the highest perfection of human life. His devotion is so pure that he's been able to purchase the mercy of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya has said that some of his devotees, by giving themselves 100% to him, they are able to purchase him. He said of Srivas that if Srivas wants, he can sell me in the market, he can give me away as charity, he can do whatever he wants with me. I belong to him. He is such a great devotee that by his devotion I am purchased. Just as Krishna used to tell the gopis that by their devotion they have purchased him. The only way one can achieve Krishna is by pure devotion. So Vasudeva Datta Thakur, he had actually taken that, been able to purchase Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his complete surrender. So if we get the mercy of Vasudeva Datta Thakur, then we easily can get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're very fortunate that the Bhajan Kuti, after Lord Chaitanya left Navadvip and went to Nilachal, Jagannath Puri, then Vasudeva Datta Thakur, he didn't like to stay here in Navadvip. He felt that it was a bit empty without Lord Chaitanya. So he went to Chittagong with Pundarik Vidyanidhi Thakur. And there with Mukunda Datta, Vasudeva Datta, they stayed and they assisted Pundarik Vidyanidhi in expanding Vaishnava culture throughout eastern Bengal. And there, the Sripad, or the temple, the original temple of Vasudeva Datta Thakur in that place has been given to an affiliated society, to ISKCON, and there we are built a temple and developed a little center there, right next to Pundarik Dham, with the intention of trying to attract the mercy of Vasudeva Datta and the entire ISKCON family of preachers. We see that there are so many very merciful preachers who are trying to deliver the people, and book distribution and expanding the Sankirtan movement is certainly one way of reaching all the conditioned souls. And therefore Prabhupada wanted that books should be distributed and printed in every language of the world. And that is the same expansive mood of Vasudeva Datta Thakur, that every person, even in places where the exchange is not even worth the paper it's printed on, but if it's good enough to buy a book and paper and printing cost in that country, then there's a language and people can read it. We want them to read Srila Prabhupada's book, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, all of Srila Prabhupada's books. So, feel that Harikesa Swami Maharaj Vishnupad, he's been giving this mercy to the conditioned souls by expanding Prabhupada's book publication. So in this very sacred place of Vasudeva Datta Thakur, I hope that he'll benedict us with a little nectar. Hare Krishna. All those that would like to hear something from Sri Vishnupad, raise your hand. Chant Nitai Govindam, Hari Hari Bol. All that wouldn't like to hear, raise your hand.
We're to engage in great preaching mission. This is a reflection of the mood of Vasudeva Datta, but sometimes, even when engaging in the preaching mission, if there is some bodily inconvenience, then immediately one wants to quit, and willing to take that upon himself for the sake of the conditioned soul. So this we cannot imitate, this we cannot even stand. However, the example is there, and Srila Prabhupada embodied that mood when he went across the ocean at a very advanced age, almost 70 years old, with a weak heart. Prabhupada had 2 heart attacks on that boat, and although suffering, because a heart attack is suffering, it is one of the greatest sufferings to go on a boat and be seasick. We personally get seasick just looking at a boat. Being seasick is a very terrifying experience. To be seasick and have heart attack is beyond, at least my conception. I cannot understand. So much suffering. And still, when arriving, the first idea is how to deliver the conditioned soul, how to make some program of preaching. So, because Prabhupada had that vision, that mood of Vasudeva Datta, he knew the way in which to establish the preaching mission throughout the world. If one ordinarily would go to some place and get some opulence, get some followers, become attracted, develop others' attraction in him. Generally the mood is for all these persons who go and spread some kind of spirituality or pseudo-spirituality. The mood is to enjoy the facilities offered by those persons who follow. And generally speaking, there is very little idea of expanding the preaching mission. And if there is some idea, it is limited to the personal aggrandizement type of preaching, where one preaches in such a way that many people are attracted to him and glorify him in different ways. Prabhupada showed how one can embody the selflessness of the preacher by writing these books and then giving them to us to distribute. It is not something that you can do for glorification. It is not something you can do for sense gratification. Sometimes there is glorification. At the end of the week, when the scores are read, everybody beats the mridanga and screams your name. 5 minutes later, they can't even remember who was number 1. But for the person who was number 1, if he's materially attached, he thinks, I am number 1. And after that, it's very difficult for him to develop humility, submissiveness in relationship to the other devotees. And sometimes that person, if he does not become purified, if he does not get freed from this anartha, he will fall down from that platform of being top book distributor and become more mediocre, and then ultimately give it up again. take up some job in an office pushing papers and answering telephones. Is it not? So, the mood of Vasudeva Datta is a constant one. The mood of Srila Prabhupada is a constant one. To devote the life to delivering the message of the transcendental literatures, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the fallen conditioned souls. Whatever suffering may be there is inconsequential compared to the benefit that is given. Sometimes there is suffering. Some places the devotees go out, and sometimes they get beaten in the nose. Sometimes they get spit upon. Sometimes somebody steals the book and runs away. Sometimes somebody takes the book and throws it on the ground. Somebody comes up and kicks you from behind. Sometimes they take you, put you in jail. Sometimes they ridicule you publicly. And yet the preacher, because he has that mood, just goes on. Because he has that mood, he knows that of all types of preaching activity, this one is the most important. Not only that, but it will be the one which is most attacked by Maya. Therefore, Maya organizes propaganda campaign to try to wipe out the book distribution mission. Maya organizes people who picket and say this book distribution is cheating. Maya organizes people to write newspaper articles to say this book distribution is rascaldom. Maya organizes people even within ISKCON to say that this is not very important activity, it's ruining the preaching. Maya is very clever, but one has to be more determined than Maya. Maya is determined, there's no doubt. And the representatives of Maya, because Maya is determined, they become determined too. But we have to become more determined. So much so that Maya cannot even enter the front door. That we will just go on with this mission, and Maya will not even enter the front door. And if somebody comes in with another idea, then transcendental book distribution, we will tell him that thank you very much, but no thank you at all. Yes, what you say may be sounding very learned, but sorry. We are simple in mind and simple in heart, and we have only one idea, which is we will take these literatures and distribute them to the people. We don't know very much. Maybe we are not expert in philosophy. We are certainly not MA, BA, PhD. But we know one thing, which is that the order of the spiritual master is there, and that order is worth more than any sophistication of the material variety. That order is given by one who fully embodies the mood of Vasudeva Datta and all of the great Vaishnavas, descending in the line from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose only purpose and mission in life is to somehow bring Krishna consciousness to all the fallen souls. So, when we go on these parikramas, and we talk about being purified, the real purpose of purification is to develop determination to follow the mission of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is following in the footsteps of his spiritual master. If he is a bona fide, powerful preacher of Krishna consciousness, he will follow directly what has been given by his spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada has given us this mission, we should follow it. And let us take up this opportunity, whereupon the purification is taking place by force, to become very determined to go back and distribute these transcendental literatures. Use the opportunity to pray. If we are here before the deities of Vasudeva Datta, I can think of no better place to pray and ask for their mercy, if they would kindly please, after all they are the Lord of Vasudeva Datta, and they inspired him, if they could please inspire all of us to do the same thing, and at least in the same line. We can never imitate Vasudeva Datta, but at least we can be his servants, as Srila Prabhupada perfectly embodied it. If we take some minutes to pray to these deities who have been here for a long time, and after we are all dead and gone, they will still be here for a long time. If we can ask them, don't be bashful. Don't think that Krishna can't hear you. Or don't think that, oh, so many people are here, they're already asking Krishna so many things, so why will he listen to me? No, he will listen to you. And reciprocation will be there to the degree that one surrenders to him. So, he is very merciful. If you just meditate on Krishna for some moments here, you will see he is very merciful. The whole situation of the temple here just echoes his mercy. No details required. You kindly just pray for the mercy of Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Madan Gopal. Did you explain this? Lord Chaitanya here is the parikrama deity of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. He used to go on parikrama. So we have here unlimited mercy on this altar. Gaur Gadadhar deity. Gadadhar was added later, but he is eternally with Lord Chaitanya. So if we just take some moments here.
Shri Gaur Gadadhar, I want to give you some of their prasadam. But in some or another, of course, the fact that the deities are being worshipped for 500 years, and still the bells ringing, D-wigs waving, after 500 years, even if there's so many obstacles, somehow they feel the obligation, they have to keep up the devotional service, the deity worship. Like that, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to preserve all of the temples, especially the ones that he established. At least maintain them, and if we can expand further. Once we begin deity worship, the principle is it should never stop. So therefore we all feel obligated to see that these very special deities established by the Nitya Siddha Parshadas, or eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya, should continue. So Prabhupada founded a trust called the Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust, in which one of its purposes is to see that these deities' worship is preserved. So this trust has constructed a Goshala in the back for the deities now. And after that, they inspired another devotee who built the kitchen here. So we should also, now there's so many deities in ISKCON, some established by Srila Prabhupada and some subsequently by his representatives, that 900, 1,000 years from now, that those deities will still be worshipped. That should be our special commitment and dedication. This tree I was telling you about, this tree is a very special tree. Here, tree was hit by lightning. And Saranga Thakur was a little bit frustrated because this is a very nice Bokul tree, one of the sacred trees mentioned in Bhagavatam. This tree died. And Lord Chaitanya used to sit under this tree when he would go for class at Vidyanagar. He'd come here and rest. And then one time when the tree got hit by lightning and it died, the whole middle of it was hollow. Then Saranga Thakur was a little bit upset. This nice tree was, in his courtyard, was literally toasted, fried. It was completely hit like that. And Lord Chaitanya, he embraced the tree. That you're so fortunate to be here in my devotees' courtyard, why you disappeared in this way. And he brought the tree back to life. And this tree is actually hollow. Now it's closed up. But the pujari here, when he was 8 years old, used to crawl inside the hollow tree. And that's why this tree is known as a Siddha Bokul, because it was hugged by Lord Chaitanya. It's a liberated tree. Although the tree's so old, it's evergreen. So, it's a very sacred place. Many pastimes of Lord Chaitanya were here just by touching this tree, by seeing these deities. Or to speak of accepting their prasadam. We hope that all the devotees who we know the devotees will be blessed in so many ways. So, to facilitate the distribution of prasad, we're going to take a number of devotees by Lord Shiva, who told him that if you go into this forest, this male forest, there you'll find that my older brothers, the 4 Kumaras, they are present there, and they can give you the highest blessing. So, sitting on a raised platform, effulgent, naked children, the 4 Kumaras in child form, to pay his obeisances to the 4 Kumaras. They embraced him and said that we were waiting for you. He prayed, please give your blessing to me. Lord Shiva said, you can give me the highest benediction. They said, all right, you take a bath in the Ganges and we'll give you initiation. So he went to the Ganges, took his bath, came back and paid his prostrated obeisances. And then the 4 Kumaras, being very pleased that he was a Vaishnava, he was chanting Hare Krishna when he first saw them. They gave him initiation. And they explained, they gave him a book called I believe it's called the Sanat Sanghita, which gives the details on devotional service. They explained that previously they were personalist philosophers. And then, by the mercy of the Lord, they became Vaishnavas. So therefore, they were feeling a lack. They had never expanded any Vaishnava disciplic succession in the world. Lord Shiva had a disciplic succession, Lakshmi had a disciplic succession, Brahma had a disciplic succession, but they had only preached impersonal philosophy. So they wanted their understanding of pure Vaishnava philosophy now to be expanded in the world. So they benedicted Nimbarka Acharya with devotional service, and they initiated him in the worship of Radha and Krishna. So taking the mantra he received from them, he began worshipping. And here, in the Vilvapukur, he was able to have darshan of Radha and Krishna. Having the darshan of Radha and Krishna, he became very ecstatic. He paid his obeisances. When he looked up, he saw Radha and Krishna combined into the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Lord Chaitanya said, do not reveal this secret of my pastime because I'm not... He didn't want that his pastimes hadn't happened yet, and he didn't want it to be revealed in advance, which would have spoiled his secret coming. He told that you will come and be my associate in my pastimes. You will come, you'll be born in Kashmir, and you'll come to Navadvip as Digbijay, as a great pandit, defeating everyone else by the mercy of Mother Saraswati. And then you'll have my darshan, and I'll give you blessing. And in my movement, the teachings you receive from the four Kumaras, I'm going to include the essence, as well as I'm going to include the essence from the other three Vaishnava disciplic successions, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami. From Madhvacharya, I'm going to accept his teaching that the deity of Krishna is eternal and his complete opposition towards monism or absolute oneness. From Ramanuja, I'm going to take service to the Vaishnavas, to the devotees of the Lord, and attitude of servitude. From Vishnu Swami, like that, Lord Chaitanya again, he took two. Sarvasvabhav, or one is surrendered attitude, and the other is Raganuga, or spontaneous devotion. And from Nimbarka Goswami, Lord Chaitanya accepted complete dedication and following of Srimati Radharani and Gopi Bhav, or engaging in the service of Radha and Krishna, following in the footsteps of the Gopis. After giving this benediction to Nimbarka Goswami, Lord Chaitanya disappeared. This is in the extreme northern part of Navadvip Dham. There's only a couple more miles before Navadvip Dham is supposed to end. Of course, it's hard to measure. You can't measure the spiritual Dham exactly. It seems sometimes to extend and become longer, and sometimes it becomes short. Just like when Krishna went from Vrindavan to Mathura, only 8 miles, it took him all day. So sometimes, even though the distance are not very far, it takes longer than expected. It's one of the opulences of the Holy Dham. I don't have anyone else to blame. This is just entering into the northern part of Shimanta Dweep, the island of hearing, the first island. We'll give more glories about Shimanta Dweep tomorrow when we go to the Jagannath temple. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to come bring all of his parikrama party here, he had a keen desire to establish one center here, but that time it wasn't possible due to very conservative attitude of the Brahmin community. Now, after Bhakti's great disciple, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has spread this movement all over the world, the local brahmanas and devotees are requesting us to take a more active part here in development of this spiritual center. We need to develop this temple here and this area. So this is all very nice turn of events, but certainly would please Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Nimbaka Goswami, he was worshipping Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva directed him to the four Kumaras. Then the four Kumaras initiated him and directed him to Radha, to Krishna, Lord Chaitanya and Radha and Krishna. So this way, we find that by the mercy of Guru, one achieves Krishna. By the mercy of Krishna, one achieves the Guru. And each of the four Vaishnava acharyas have a specific relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They visited Mayapur Daibadip Dham at some time in their career and had a darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, we are also either through hearing, since hearing and seeing in the spiritual world is no different, or through any of the senses, or even on the direct spiritual platform, we're hoping all the devotees will be able to experience the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and thus be empowered for preaching all over the world. To be able to preach on behalf of the Vaishnava Acharyas.
For this age is Hari Nam Sankirtan.
এই কলিযুগে ধর্ম হলো হরিনাম সংকীর্তন।
Kalikaler Dhamma Krishna Nam Sankirtan. So, by executing this dharma of Harinam Sankirtan in such parikram festivals, one can get the greatest benefit. That benefit,
আর কি এই উপকারটা কি হয় পরিক্রমার দ্বারা?
Krishna Shakti Milinahi Tharapavartana, simply that we become empowered to make more and more Sankirtan. By aspiring in this way to worship Krishna in the holy Dham, worship Krishna through his holy name, we get Krishna Shakti, we get empowered by Lord Krishna to carry on this Sankirtan movement all over the world. Sri Mahaprabhu, he predicted that someday in the future, this he was speaking 500 years ago, but he said someday in the future, my name will be heard everywhere, every town and village all over the world. So this prediction is coming true, is becoming visible to everyone at this very moment. Perhaps those who are living in this area of Sridham Mayapur, in little village in the jungle, they're perhaps thinking they're quite isolated from the rest of the world. But actually, this holy Dham is so important that, as you can see, devotees are coming from everywhere around the world just to worship here. They're coming here from all over the world to get Krishna Shakti so that they can spread this
eternal dharma of Nam Sankirtan and make this holy Dham famous everywhere. So that everywhere, in New York, in Los Angeles, in Frankfurt, in Moscow, everywhere they will know where is Navadvip Dham, where is Mayapur Dham, who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, and just like 500 years ago when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates traversed this holy land, spreading holy name everywhere, there was great revolution, spiritual revolution. All caste distinctions, Muslim were forgotten. Everyone chanted and danced together. So that will also take place everywhere very soon. Let everyone forget their national or racial or linguistic distinctions and come together and chant and dance Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Africans, Eskimos, Chinese, from everywhere come to this holy Dham and make obeisances in this wonderful land to all these tirthas and chant and dance in ecstasy. And I had the opportunity of seeing Jagannath Mishra's appearance place. They moved from there here to Navadvip Dham. They weren't married when they moved here, but they were from the similar area. Sachi Mata also comes originally from Sri Hatta or Silan, Meerut district. Her father, Nilamba Chakravarti Thakur, he came here. He was very highly respected. He was a great astrologer. He, seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's chart, said he should be called Viswambar, or one who maintains the entire universe, because he could see that Lord Chaitanya had all the symptoms of an avatar. And he told Mother Satya, his daughter, that your son is going to have all the opulences of Narayan. Of course, no one can have all the opulence of Narayan except for Narayan himself. This deity of Madan Gopal, very powerful deity, is been in this family 1400 years. And the Lord Chaitanya had no children, but from Nilambar Chakravarti's side there were other descendants. And the present boy, Pujari, is the last descendant. His only son, his mother passed away. He's the last descendant coming down in the line, the maternal line from Nilambar Chakravarti Thakur.